if there is going to be alignment, we do need to wrestle with this view about what are we trying to achieve together. As David says, this is not some desire to create a single script or a monolithic view. One of the strong pieces of evidence about high capability groups is you need to allow diversity of opinion and thought. But if that ends up with large numbers of us pulling against each other, then we will dissipate energy enormously. And so I think we need to grapple together. And we're trying, in the discussions we're having around QUIP and more generally, and working with politicians and the public, we're trying to develop a strong narrative about the kind of service we need to create for our country for the future. And I think it's a key responsibility for this group to wrestle with that, have variations on it, but find some ground about what the leaders of the NHS are trying to create for the NHS's future. We want to create a system which is more integrated for patients, in which organisations' interests are aligned around creating fantastic care, not just fantastic hospitals or fantastic community services or fantastic primary care. We want the best people to be running fantastic care organisations, not fantastic sections of organisations. It's a big transformation. We want those organisations to move away from being driven from meeting dive under the bar national targets to being ambitious to meet patient expectations. And there's a strong common theme in the political debate that takes us in that direction, that we've got to find ways of doing that from the resource envelope. And you all know the QUIP analysis, which says that there's plenty of decent evidence that says what we should do to achieve it. The issue is how. The issue is how we drive that change and make it happen, not necessarily what could inform that change. That if we're going to have that fantastically energised provider side, that we have to grasp the nettle of getting commissioning operating at a level of world-class professionalism, and that we're not today moving fast enough to achieve that at the level or rate we need. But we need great commissioning. We need people who understand what communities need, who can get providers leading change. You know, I mean, I do upset people sometimes when I say this, but you know, if you look at this issue of how people feel about each other, it's very often in trying to achieve the sort of services we want that people feel that PCTs have the desire to make the change, but not all the necessary capability. Many providers have the capability, but not the desire to make the change. Now, that's a deep problem, but it's not hard to change because we have both components in the room. We just need to find ways of unleashing it. And again, a system in which innovation is hungrily adopted by people, not Brian James receiving a stonewall for trying to share things that have made a massive difference to his service, but people in this room and beyond actively searching, seeking out. I'm more likely to meet people from the NHS internationally, you know, trying to find out what's best, than we are prepared to learn from each other. And if this group can model a hunger to learn and adopt and spread, it's an incredibly powerful message. So those values, I think, are good and strong and put us in a good place. They're necessary. They're a strong base from which to go forward, but they're not sufficient. And we need to do real work on how we need to translate them into the change in practice and the upping of our practice that we need as a leadership community to take the challenge on. Let me say a couple of things in conclusion about what you have said about what you want, also in the Mindset Survey, how we're trying to start responding to that today, and offer, again, some personal views about things I would like people to take into those discussions. There was a really strong, consistent set of asks in the survey about what you want from this work, and the work that Karen and Barbara are leading is designed to begin to respond to that. This is not something that we're going to try and spoon feed to ourselves from others. The biggest resource in achieving the list there is us, not someone else. So we're very clear about that list. It's a strong and consistent list across people who responded, and we'll design the work to do it. But I would like to ask for 4 other things to be thought about in not just what this programme can do for you as individuals, but to go back to David's point, how we harness the potential power of the leading edge of the NHS. Because the conversations that you have with us, others, the opinions that you voice in the columns of the HSJ or in conferences or in informal networks with people have a massive amplifying effect about the culture, the zeitgeist of what is going on in the NHS today. This is where opinion is formed, and we need to do some work together on harnessing that. If we can find a way of sharing the core elements of a vision, then I think it's not too much to expect that the leading edge of the edge of the leadership of the NHS should think of themselves as the advocates for that vision within their organisations, within their communities, with their colleagues, talking positively about the kind of NHS that we are trying to create. That we can model how we learn from each other and spread and adopt the best innovation within this room and begin to make that catch fire in a way that other people understand that that is what the best leaders do. We think there's a direct role for this group, and one of the reasons we're interested in experimenting with interesting communication things electronically, a direct role in live helping to shape the policy agenda. Post-election, whatever the result, we're going to face a whole series of decisions and challenges and ways of shaping policy with the views of a new government. And the opportunity for us to work live and share some of that with you, get responses, understand the implications, how they will play out as key decisions are made, is something we don't want to miss. And so we'd like you to reflect on how we might use this community as a community of much more shaping a rapidly moving, sensitive and volatile policy agenda in a way that allows you to deliver your business and helps us and helps a new government to shape their work. And finish with a point that every speaker has made, which is success will not represent the top 20% being successful. If the top 20% of the NHS is successful, you will be pulled down by mediocrity or failure in the rest of the system. You will fail with the majority, not succeed with the minority. And so our shared responsibility to think about how we take the learning and the journey and the knowledge that's in this room and make it work for others is, I think, an inescapable responsibility for those of us who've had the privilege to have investment made in us in developing. So it's a pivotal moment. It feels like a fork in the road in terms of the leadership journey. We hope that we can find a way of working together with you as the leading edge of the system to forge the path through that difficult journey. And we're really committed to trying to make that work very effectively. Thanks very much indeed.